the last video for the lesson today is just a video that does some review of fractions, decimals, percents, and how to solve word problems with percents in them, should we come across some of those, which I'm sure you will. All right. Percents are the result of expressing numbers as part of 100. Percent comes from the French word per, well, French words. It's made up of two words, per and cent, or a prefix per, and the root word cent. In French, it would be pourcent. Now, per means, or let's go with cent. Cent is short for 100, like there's 100 cents in a dollar, 100 years in a century, 100 centimeters in a meter. Per means out of, like a periscope, P-E-R-C, is out of the water, okay? So percent means out of 100. That's what percent means. So if 45 of every 100 students take introductory algebra, then 45% means 45 out of 100, which is, as a fraction, just 45 over 100. So again, percent means out of 100. Very good. Now, fractions, decimals, percents. That's what we're taking a moment to work on. What about some of these words? What do they all share in common? Hola, bonjour, konnichiwa. What's up? Yo, dog, happening. All of those terms are ways of saying hello, okay? Which one is the right term to use depends on the situation. When I was young, growing up, and I saw my friends, we might say, what's up? Nowadays, they probably say, yo, dog. Might even say happening. If I'm in France, I'm probably saying bonjour. If I'm in Spain or Latin America, probably saying hola. If I'm in Japan, I'm going to go with konnichiwa. The bottom line is they all mean the same thing. There's just a time and a place where each one is the proper word to use, the most understandable word to use. Well, it's the same way with fractions, decimals, and percents. They all say the same thing, just like those words said hello. What we need to know is how to translate between them, because each has a time and a place where it is the proper way to communicate. So you can't say to yourself, well, I'm really good with decimals, I don't need to know anything about fractions. Because sometimes fractions are the way to communicate. Sometimes to use fractions, cooking, construction, stock market. I got some guys out back right now building a what I call a barrage, a barn garage for me. And they're using fractions all the time. That's what's on that tape measure. Decimals, money, metric systems, science. Decimals are really big in those three applications. Percents, they're very big with investments. Sales, come on now, you got to go shopping. You got to understand those percents for sales, and as a way to compare things. Okay? So here's the table, and we're going to go fractions, decimals, and percents. Now, I'm just going to say to you and then show through examples how to do things. To go from a fraction to a decimal, you just divide. You do exactly what it says, 3 divided by 4. To convert from a decimal to a percent has an R in it, you're going to move 2 places to the right. To convert from a percent to a decimal has an L in it, you're going to move 2 places to the left. And then to convert from a decimal to a fraction, you're just going to read it properly. So let's give you some examples, and I think that this will help you. If I want to convert 3/4 to a decimal, I simply take my handy dandy calculator, I do 3 divided by 4. By the way, a fraction symbol means to divide. Picture the line for division here in the middle, and the dot on top and the dot on bottom. That's why you know a fraction means to divide. The division symbol comes from a fraction. Right? The dot on the top means whatever's on the top, the dot on the bottom, whatever's on the bottom. So that's how you can equate and remember that fractions mean division. So hey, if I do 3 divided by 4, literally type it in the calculator, it'll tell me 0.75. And if I want to convert that to a percent, I use R, I'm emphasizing the R there, percent has an R in it, I go 2 places to the right and I get 75%. So how do I do 3/8 to a decimal again? What do I simply do on the calculator? 3 divided by 8. Good. When I do that, I come up with 0.375. And if I want to make that into a percent has what letter in it? Has an R in it. So I go 2 places to the right. Why 2 places? Because it's 100, and 100 is always 2 decimal places. And you can remember that because 100 has how many zeros? 2. So 2 decimal places. So 37.5%. Yes, you can have a 0.5%. It might seem awkward, but you can have it. All right, so now we just did 2 examples where we convert fractions to decimals. Now we're going to convert decimals to fractions. And all you need to do is read it properly. You got to sound a little British when you do this. Like most American people, we tend to be a little lazy and we just say 0.07. I do it, you do it, everybody does it. But if we read this properly, the way we're first taught to, we read this as 7 hundredths. 7 hundredths. 7 hundredths. Bingo, that's the answer. Just write what you just said. 7 hundredths. You just converted it to a decimal. 7 hundredths. And then if I want to convert that to a percent, well, I go right back with what I already knew how to do, and I move 2 decimal places to the right. That gives me 7%. Now let's take a look at the next one. If I read it properly and I want to convert to a fraction, I would say 1 and 25 hundredths. 1 and 25 hundredths. And then you have to reduce the fraction. Now, back in the day when I went to school on my pet dinosaur in the snow, uphill, both ways, barefoot, 25 hundredths was a pain in the butt because I had to reduce it myself. Not so with you guys. Calculators will do the work for you. 25 hundredths is better known as a quarter. So this is 1 and a quarter. Again, converting from decimal to percent, I just moved 2 places to the right. That's 125%. Might seem awkward if you say, well, if percent's out of 100, you shouldn't be able to get greater than 100. But that's not true. If you invest money in the stock market and the stock market gains money, you're going to have more than 100%. 100% is the amount you started with. So 125% means you're bigger than what you started with. In investments, you do that all the time. Okay, now we have percents, 18%. Well, what does percent mean again? Percent means out of 100. So, and if I want to convert to a decimal, L at the end there, I just move 2 places to the left. So, if I want to convert this to a fraction, I take 18% and I just write it as a fraction, which is 18 over 100. And then I do it on the calculator. I divide 18 divided by 100, and it will tell me 9/50. Fraction will reduce it for you on the calculator. So again, percent means out of 100, 18 out of 100, it reduces to 9 out of 50. And then if I want to convert to a decimal, I just move 2 places to the left, 0.18. I could also do 9 divided by 50 on the calculator. That would give me the answer as well. Okay, 250% as a fraction, that's 250 over 100, because percent means out of 100. 250 out of 100, type it in the calculator, it'll reduce it for you, 2.5. And as far as a decimal goes, we know a half is 0.5, so it's 2.5. So I could just look at it as, hey, take the fraction, make it 0.5, or I could look at it as move that 2 places to the left for decimal, and if I move 2 places to the left, I get 2.5. Okay, try these 3, percents as decimals. We'll stop and start here. Okay, expressing 63% as a decimal, 0.63, 150%, 1.5. You could have 1.50, it's just as equal. And 0.5% as a decimal. Why did I write 0.5%? 0.5% as a decimal. I had a brain cramp on that. I wrote the question again. It's 0.005. Remember, you're going to move it 2 places to the left, and there's only zeros in front. So it's 0.005. Once again, 0.005. All right, we'll do some percent equations in a little bit. But first, we wanted you to be able to do some converting between fractions, decimals, and percents.